In this lesson, we're gonna learn the C chord. We're gonna learn the easy version of the C chord. We'll get into the full versions in the next module. Using easy chords are a great way to start because it's easier to switch back and forth between them. You don't have to think about as many fingers, and you also can memorize them easier. With chords, when you play them, physically getting all the notes out can be challenging depending on the chord. Also, memorizing them is key to being able to switch back and forth quicker. So if we can memorize where our fingers go instead of having to look and kind of look at the key and go, okay, where does my third finger go for this? Where does my first finger go for this? If we can memorize where the fingers go, switching back and forth becomes so much easier so that we can focus more on staying in time and strumming evenly and all that instead of thinking, wait, how do I play this again? As you can see for C, we have our first and second finger on the fretboard now. So for C, we're putting our first finger on the second string in the first fret. Okay, so we'll take our first finger, put it on the 1, 2, second string inside the first fret. And then as you can see, your second finger goes in the second fret on the 4th string. So let's put, at the same time, put our second finger on the 4th string inside the second fret. That is C. Okay, the challenging thing about C and other chords that use multiple fingers, and this is the easy version of C, we tend to, especially when we're doing a diagonal chord like this, because this full version of C is a diagonal, our fingers tend to hit other strings and mute them, not on purpose, but it just tends to happen when we're first beginning to play. So you want to make sure, especially more than ever now, that you're using the tips of your fingers when you're pressing down the strings, the very tips of your fingers. With your right hand, you're going to do the same exact thing you did with the easy version of G. You're playing 4 strings. This is another reason why we start with the easy version. They're both the same amount of strings. It's also nice to be able to focus on just 4 strings at once and start practicing not hitting all 6 strings, because hitting all 6 strings is easy, but we don't do that with every chord. So we go 4th string down, just like the easy G. If you hear this sound on the first string, then maybe your first finger is hitting that in some way. You can see here, if you can see here, the flesh of this finger, because I'm not using my complete tip, is hitting that. So it doesn't come out all the way. So you have to kind of push your hand up like this, come at it more with the tips, pinch down in the back, and then play that first string again. It's coming out. The same thing can happen with this finger. The flesh of this finger can hit the 3rd string, and come out like this. So make sure you're coming up. If you feel like your fingers are like this, just push them up and out of the way. So play each string separate. The 4th, 3rd, 2nd, 1st. Are they all coming out well? If you're hearing a sound like that, well, if it's on the 4th string, well then most likely that's your second finger not pushing hard enough. Each string, if it's not coming out, will have a different reason why it's not coming out. If you're supposed to be pressing on it, it could be the finger's not pressing hard enough or it's in the wrong position. If the finger is not supposed to have, if the string is not supposed to have a finger on it, another finger might be blocking it. So make sure each one comes out very clear. Strum. Hold your fingers there for a little bit and strum. You might need to give your fingers a break after pressing a little bit, and that's why going to the next video where we practice, we're going to start practicing switching back and forth between C and G. That'll be nice because then you're not just pressing down in the same spot for a long time. Your fingers are getting a break going to another chord. So your 3rd finger is playing a little bit, and then your 1st and 2nd finger in the chord C will play for a little bit. So they each get a little break as you're going back and forth and back and forth. And make sure you're practicing every single day I'll see you in the next video where we learn how to switch between C and G.